All right, so we got all of our videos that will play here. We'll have our, excuse me, our old video and our new video playing side by side. It'll play all one motion. It'll play a second time, pausing at that moment of our front foot getting in the ground so we can see our stride's direction and we can see the positioning of our shoulders, remembering that we want our lower body rotating towards the target and we want our upper body still sideways with our chin looking over our shoulder at the target with our glove coming into our body at that moment of our front foot hitting the ground. So the first time you see your video, it'll be all one motion, start to finish, and the second time it'll be paused at that time when our front leg gets into the ground. So go ahead and click your name, find your chapter, and take a look. All right, unfortunately, we don't have an updated video for you yet, bud, because we didn't get to you on Friday, and then you weren't at practice on Wednesday. So here is just that original video for you to be able to rewatch and study and see how we've been working on trying to get that front leg to be rotated all the way to the target when it front foot lands versus it landing sideways as it is. And even more importantly, making sure that our shoulders don't rotate until that front foot is in the ground all the way. And we'll be able to see on this next time around how when it's paused at the moment your front foot, that leg lift leg gets into the ground, how your shoulders have already begun to rotate a little too early. So we can see right there, they're already rotated. And we know that we're trying to keep them from rotating until after that front foot's on the ground. All right, so you were not there on the days that we took the original videos, so we only have our most recent video here. So we'll go from that. Next time the video plays, we'll pause it when that leg lift leg gets into the ground. So what we'll notice is we got that throwing arm that goes up to the throwing position very, very early, and it just kind of stays there. Remember, we want that ball to fall out of our glove and have some rhythm coming up. We watch it again, and you'll see how as soon as your hands come apart, boom, we can see that ball's up, just in the air, in the air, in the air, in the air, in the air. We want it to be down in the ground and then come up to the air. Down to up, down to up. So we play that one more time. We'll watch and look at the stride direction. We know it in earlier, our stride was always going towards first base dugout. And we can see we've been working on trying to get that a lot straighter, which it has done so in this video. So we just got to make sure and catch. We continue to think about that stride getting straight, so we can keep having good results like that. All right, bud. We got old video on the left, new video on the right. We'll play these clips 4 times total. The first time, as you're seeing, it's all one motion. The second time, it'll pause for 2 seconds when that front foot, that leg lift leg gets into the ground. So we can see how those bodies compare and contrast with our stride direction and how well we've been able to keep our shoulders squared. And we can see that right there. And then we're going to play those 2 videos again, but with me next to you. I'll be going, as you can see, not slow motion for this first time of your not stopping videos. And then we'll throw me into slow motion here next to you. And we can pause ourselves at that moment of our feet getting into the ground so we can talk about the one difference of us. And that is we can see your baseball in both your old and your new video clips. And we can't see mine. And that's because my arm is right here behind my head. So when I go to throw, my back shoulder rotates forward, and that arm then follows it. Your shoulder's going to go, yeah, your arm's going to follow it, but it's not coming from back here. And that's where we get that extra power from. So we then play that, and we can see we both get to a position around here at the same time, but we can see how much more my arm is laid back. And that's because it was further back here to begin. So now I'm going to have all of this whipping motion to really throw with extra power. We can also see how much further I'm taking my chest down. Now I have to do that extra because I am pitching from a mound and you're not, but all that power I'm trying to send down and out. So that's something, those two things, if we want to try to throw harder, is get this arm loaded back here more, behind your head towards second base. And then when we throw those shoulders, not just around, but down and around. Old video, as you can see, is on the left, news on the right. It'll play 4 times here for you. First time here is all one motion. Second time, we'll pause it when that stride leg of yours gets into the ground. And then we'll repeat those 2 videos a second time. So we see the back heel of the back foot was on the white line, and so is that front foot, so that stride's going nice and towards the target. We can see that glove staying close to the chest as we're finishing our throw, and that head staying on the target. Like I said, we now got those 2 videos playing a second time through, so all one motion here. And then we'll play my video in slow-mo next to your videos in slow-mo here, and pause us at that moment of foot strike so we can discuss some things about the delivery that we're seeing. Boom. So here we are. We can see our gloves are going up into our armpits, and our chin is looking over our shoulder, chin looking over shoulder. We can see that front leg is going towards the target, front leg is going towards the target, back legs rotated, back legs rotated. There's our belt buckle. There's our belt buckle. And then here comes all that good energy to release. The one thing we do notice is my shoulders and my shirt is tilted similar to yours, but my head is trying to stay upright more than your head. So something that we can work on to help us throw more accurately is just thinking about trying to keep this head a little bit taller as we're rotating those shoulders through. But all in all, we can see that head stays on the target well, like we said. You get your body back up to be nice and tall as we come through our finish. So we're looking good. Keep up the good work. All right, new video on the right, old video on the left. They'll play 4 times total. This first time's all one motion. Second time, we'll pause it when our front foot gets into the ground so we can look at our stride direction. We can look at our upper body's positioning. And then we'll play those 2 videos a second time. So we can see good glove finish, eyes staying on the target, back hip coming around, back foot coming around, and a good finish. So now we got me going all normal speed so you can see how quickly this delivery needs to be. And then we'll play it in slow motion with your slow motion ones here and pause it when our front foot gets in the ground. But we can just see how quick my delivery is, kind of catching up to you already. And what's the one big thing that we can see the difference of is your old view or your old video, your shoulders are really coming through early. Your new video, they're not coming through as early, but they still are early. And mine, you can't see my arm because it's behind my head right now. Right? This looks very similar to me, but my back shoulder is back here. Yours is right there. So we got to just keep working on keeping these shoulders back until after this front foot hits the ground. After the front foot hits the ground, bam, then we bring everything through and around. Notice how down I've gone versus you staying pretty tall. Throw that ball down. Throw that chest down. Throw that energy down. And then bring it back up. All right, new videos on the right, old videos on the left. They'll play 4 times total. First time here will be all one motion. Second time we'll pause it when that front leg gets into the ground so we can compare and contrast our stride direction, how well we've been able to keep our shoulders closed. And then we'll play those 2 videos again a second time. So there's our stride, going straight forward towards that target, which is exactly what we're looking for. We can see that head staying on the target, which is great. We got that glove finishing up towards our rib cage area, staying close to our body. We can see my video on the right is playing at normal speed, so you can see how quickly we want this pitching delivery to be when we're pitching out of the stretch. Working quick and aggressively. We'll play it in slow motion now, and we'll be able to see how far you are into your delivery, and I'm going to be able to catch on up because of my tempo being a little bit quicker than yours. So here we are at that moment of our front foot getting the ground. And one thing that you're going to see here is your knee hasn't quite rotated towards that target as much as we would like. Your back leg is doing a good job rotating, but this front leg hasn't quite rotated enough for this to be a strong, sturdy leg for us to rotate our body around. Another thing we can notice is that your throwing arm is starting to come through. Why? Look where that glove's at. Even though your glove finishes into your body, it's gotten outside of your body before it does that. So the glove and the damage that it's doing by going out to here does not get erased because it comes back into here. Damage is done already. We can see wanting that glove to get up into that armpit. See, your glove does get here, but because it got here first, it's opening these shoulders early for us. We don't want that. So we just got to think about keeping that glove tight. But old videos on the left, your new video is on the right. We'll play these 4 times. First time will be all one motion. Second time we'll pause it when that stride leg of yours gets into the ground, which will give us an opportunity to see the stride's direction, where that glove's at, and how well our shoulders have been able to stay closed. And then we'll play those 2 videos again after. So we can see that stride going towards the target. We can see that glove is in the spot that we're looking for it to be at. And the one thing that we do notice is how your body's kind of fallen out of frame after our pitch. So you see we got myself up there, all one motion at normal speed to see and show how fast the delivery needs to be, but also for you to see how well I'm able to stay in frame while being aggressive. So here we are in slow motion together, pausing when our front foot gets into the ground. And we can see how your heel hits first, where my front foot kind of lands all at once. And what we'll notice is as that front foot gets into the ground, I got my chin, shoulder, glove, like we learned earlier in the year with the big league videos. And we got your chin and your shoulders have already started to rotate early, and then your glove. So if we want to throw harder, we got to work on keeping these shoulders back and not rotating them forward until after this front foot gets into the ground. So that way, your ball's already coming out, and I still got all this power built up, ready for mine to fling way out there. And we can see how my back leg comes up and around, and yours just kind of scoots around, slings around, and so does your head, and so does your chest, and so does your whole body. Kind of falls over there. But mine, see, comes up and around. So something that we can also work on is just keeping that head locked on that target all the way to the end. And let that back leg come up and around a little bit more to give us more time to slow everything down, so it's not such a rush to get that. You can see at the end over here how it looks so quick of catching yourself. You can be more under control if we give that back leg more time to finish. All right, got your old video on the left, new video on the right. You'll get to see it 4 total times. First time here will be all one motion. Second time we'll pause it when that front foot gets into the ground so you can take a look at your stride's direction and be able to see where our upper body is also at, knowing that we don't want our upper body to rotate until after that front foot is in the ground. So we can kind of see our lower body hasn't quite rotated yet when that front foot gets into the ground. So we'll talk about that some more here in a moment. But we'll get to see your video again, all one motion, while you get to also see me on the side here showing how quick and aggressive we want this delivery to be. We want to get it up, get it going. Get it up, get it going. So now we got it in slow motion, and we'll pause it of when our front foot gets into the ground. And what we'll notice is how you can see my back hip has come forward. We can't see your back hip because your front leg hasn't rotated forward yet. We can also see your back foot back there. Excuse me, that hasn't rotated either. My back hip, back knee, back foot have all rotated forward, and that's why we can see that drawstring of my belt buckle right there. What we can also notice is your glove being straight down here versus what we talked about of it working into our armpit, rib cage, chest area. So now when I go to throw, my upper body gets to whip through, where yours here is going to be all flingy and pushy, like you were throwing a dart. Like you're kind of throwing a dart versus rotating around. So we need to keep working on this glove, not going straight out to a sword and then whipping down to your hip, but working out and then forward, and then most importantly, in to our chest, armpit, ribcage area. All right, old video on the left, new video is on the right. We'll play your video 4 times here. First time's all one motion. Second time it'll play, we'll pause it at that time where your stride leg gets into the ground, and then we'll play those 2 videos a second time through. So we can see that front leg's doing a much better job of getting rotated forward. We need to continue to think about getting that kneecap towards the target and that front toe towards the target, because we're just now starting to set that habit of what we want it to do. So we want to make sure we can really drive it home and keep working on getting it more and more. And we can see that difference in that front foot is helping it do that a lot. But we'll notice when we get ourselves at the moment that front foot gets in the ground, one of the things we can see is how your upper body in the old video is really starting to rotate forward at this point. And now, through the different drills that we've done, your body is doing a better job staying back. And we can see if you continue this progression from your old to your new, eventually you'll be where I am, where your arm is. We can't see any of your throwing arm because none of our shoulders have begun to rotate yet. What's one thing you can see that my body's doing a lot of is getting that chest to go down with that throw, versus your chest wanting to stay up here the whole time. Let's throw this power down, and then it can come back up. All right, we got your old video on the left, new videos on the right. You'll get to see it 4 total times. First time here is all one motion. Second time it'll pause for a split or for a moment when that front foot gets into the ground, and then we'll repeat those 2 videos again. So there's when that front foot's getting into the ground, getting to see where that stride direction took us, and seeing that head being able to be nice and still and on the target through release, which is good. Now, we're going to notice how quickly and aggressively we need this delivery to be going when we are pitching. We got to get it up, get it going. So here we are, side by side. We'll pause when that front foot gets into the ground so we can see the big difference in our deliveries is that in both your old and your new, at that time where this front foot is getting into the ground, your shoulders are already rotated a good amount. Versus over here, we can see this throwing arm cannot be seen because these shoulders have not been rotated yet. We can see the Ravens AVENS, but we can't really see the R too much, right? We can see almost all of the Ravens logo there. We can read, obviously it's blurry, but we can read it's all of Michigan State and the logo, right? Even if the Nike logo was on this front shoulder, we could see it. Over here, we can see B, A, S, and a little bit of E. We can't see any of the ball. We can't see the other half of that grizzly head. And that's because my shoulders are side to side still. So if we want to throw hard, we can't have our shoulders already rotated almost all the way through when that front foot hits the ground. We need the shoulders to stay back and closed, and then the shoulders to come through. Noticing how much these shoulders go down after the throw. Versus your whole body kind of staying up and just letting that arm whip across yourself. Let your body go down to give yourself more time to slow that arm down. That's how you keep a healthy arm for a long, long time. All right, we got the new videos on the right, old videos on the left. You'll get to see it 4 total times. First time here is all one motion. Second time, we will pause it momentarily when that front foot, that stride leg gets into the ground so you can see your stride's direction. As long as it's touching the white thick line, we're good. In terms of direction, we can see that glove's in a good spot. Head's on the target. What we're going to notice when we got me next to you here is, one, how quickly and aggressively this delivery's got to be going. We got to get it up, get it going. Got to be quick and aggressive when we're in the stretch. What we're going to notice here when we're all slow motion is when that front foot gets into the ground, even though your stride may be going forward, we can see this knee on your front leg hasn't quite rotated enough yet still. We also look back at that back foot and we can see that that hasn't rotated enough still. And then that explains why we can't see your belt buckle. But if we look here, we can see my knee is more rotated around. And we can also see that my back foot, back knee, and back hip have all successfully rotated forward at this time. Both of our upper bodies look the same, with our chin looking over our shoulder, with our glove getting into our armpit, ribcage area. But I have my entire lower body already fired, creating all that power. Just like when we hit, we want that lower body to go first and then the upper body shortly after. When we throw, we're trying to get that lower body to go as much as we can and then the upper body to go after. So if we want to throw hard, that's how we're going to do it.